Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on how to find the vertical and horizontal asymptotes of a rational expression. Before we look at our example problem, I'd like to take a few seconds of your time to explain how to actually find a vertical and horizontal asymptote. In order to find a vertical asymptote, what you will do is set the denominator of the rational expression to be equal to 0 and then solve for x. In the case of a horizontal asymptote, you have three possibilities that you have to deal with. The first is that if the degree of the numerator is equal to the degree of the denominator, you have to divide the coefficient of the leading term of the numerator by the coefficient of the leading term of the denominator. The second is that if the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, then your horizontal asymptote is 0. The third is that if the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator, then there is no horizontal asymptote. Suppose we are given the problem, algebraically find any asymptotes in the graph of g of x equals x squared minus 16 all over 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. The process I will go about to solve this problem would be to first find any vertical asymptotes of a rational expression by finding the values which make the denominator 0. Second, I would determine the horizontal asymptote of the rational expression. So for the first step, what we need to do is first set the denominator of 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 to be equal to 0. And next, we actually need to solve this in order to determine what the value of x is. In order to do so, the easiest method is to factor the quadratic equation that we have, which in doing so will get us that 2x plus 1 times x plus 1 equals 0, and then what we'll do is set each factor equal to 0 and then solve for x. And when we solve for x, we'll determine that x is negative 1/2 and negative 1. So our vertical asymptotes will be x such that x is equal to negative 1/2 and negative 1. In order to determine our horizontal asymptote, what we'll have to do is first determine the degree of the numerator and then determine the degree of the denominator. In order to do so, we'll look at the leading term of the numerator and the leading term of the denominator. When we look at the leading term of the numerator, we see that it's x squared, and when we look at the leading term of the denominator, we see that it's 2x squared. So we can see that x is raised to the same power in both cases, meaning that our numerator and denominator are equal. So we actually are now in the first case of our three cases. So we need to take the coefficients of our leading terms and put the coefficient of the numerator over the coefficient of the denominator and simplify. In this case, it's pretty simple because it's just 1 and 2, which means that our horizontal asymptote is y equals 1/2. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.